Are you struggling to find an automatic testing mechanism for your Azure Data Factory pipelines? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into the world of Azure Data Factory and exploring the testing frameworks available to you. I totally get it. Testing data pipelines can feel overwhelming, especially when you're trying to ensure everything runs smoothly. Many users face this challenge, and it's completely valid to seek out solutions. Let's look at the specific question at hand. One user asked if there are any automatic testing mechanisms available for Azure Data Factory pipelines and whether the Visual Studio project comes with a test suite. Sound familiar? If so, let's explore this together. So what are the options for testing in Azure Data Factory? Understanding the tools and frameworks available can help you streamline your testing process and ensure your pipelines are functioning as expected. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a powerful tip that can enhance your testing strategy and save you time. To begin addressing the user's question, we need to understand that Azure Data Factory does not come with a built-in test suite. However, there are ways to implement automated testing for pipelines. The user can create unit tests for their Azure Data Factory pipelines using a framework like Azure Data Factory Test Framework. This framework allows for the creation of tests that validate pipeline functionality. Next, the user should set up their testing environment. This involves installing the necessary tools and dependencies, such as the Azure Data Factory Test Framework package. After setting up the environment, the user can write test cases. These test cases should cover various scenarios, including successful runs and error handling. Finally, the user can run their tests and review the results. This will help ensure that the pipelines are functioning as expected and any issues can be addressed promptly. Fun fact, did you know that automated testing can reduce bugs by up to 90%? That's a huge win for any data pipeline. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach shared by a user involves using a GitHub repository called Azure Data Factory Local Environment. This repository offers tools to run custom Azure Data Factory pipelines locally. The repository allows you to debug .NET activities without deploying to Azure Data Factory. It also provides samples to help you work with the local environment. Now, let's dive into a different answer from another user. One user mentions that they are not aware of any automatic testing mechanisms for Azure Data Factory pipelines. They suggest posting feedback on Microsoft's user voice page to gather support for developing such features. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. One alternative approach shared by a user involves debugging .NET activity outside of Azure Batch using pipeline variables. This can serve as a test runner. If your Azure Data Factory is set up for automatic deployment, consider deploying to a QA environment. You might then use the SDK to run tests and verify successful execution, focusing on integration and end-to-end smoke tests. For more details, check out the ADFC Custom Activity Runner on GitHub. Here's that powerful tip I promised. Regularly update your testing framework and keep an eye on Azure updates. Staying current can help you leverage new features and improvements. And there you have it. You now have the tools and knowledge to implement effective testing for your Azure Data Factory pipelines. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more insights and don't miss our next video where we dive deeper into Azure Data Factory best practices.